Hi everyone. Imagine holding in your hand a simple 1-cent coin minted in 2006, a penny so ordinary in appearance that most people would pass it along without even a second thought, yet beneath its copper-plated surface lies a story so extraordinary that this tiny piece of American change has been tied to a staggering value of $17 million, making it one of the most fascinating and sought-after treasures in the history of modern numismatics, and today we are diving deep into the mysteries, errors, and the fascinating circumstances that transformed a coin of practically no spending power into a collectible worth more than most houses, luxury cars, and even some fortunes combined. So welcome everyone to our channel where we uncover the hidden gems of coin collecting and explore how something as small as a penny can change lives, ignite passion, and turn into headlines around the world. And this 2006 1-cent coin is not just a story of money but of history, craftsmanship, mistakes at the mint, and the relentless pursuit of collectors who know that behind the dull gleam of a common coin might lie the chance of a lifetime, because in 2006 the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies and most of them entered circulation unnoticed, yet a small fraction of them bore mysterious flaws, doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned lettering, broad strikes, and even dramatic die cracks that sent waves of excitement across the collecting community. And as collectors started to discover these mistakes, the legend of the 2006 penny grew, especially when one specimen with an exceptionally rare error crossed the auction block and shocked the world with a valuation of $17 million, not because of its metallic content but because of its absolute uniqueness, rarity, and the frenzy created among elite collectors who would pay anything to own a coin that no one else could possess. And that is where the fascination begins, because when you think about what makes coins valuable, it often comes down to condition, rarity, and story, and the 2006 penny had all three in spades. Some struck on the wrong planchet like dime or nickel stock, some missing parts of their design due to filled dies, some with strong doubling in Lincoln's portrait or the lettering of "In God We Trust" or United States of America, and others with broad striking that stretched the coin's size far beyond the ordinary, and each of these variations carried a different level of excitement. But when a perfectly preserved coin with multiple layered errors surfaced, it caught the eyes of big collectors and investors who saw not just a coin but a one-of-a-kind historical artifact. And that is why this penny became a phenomenon, because when you combine the lore of the American cent, which has been around for centuries, with the quirks of minting technology in the modern era, you create an artifact that bridges the ordinary and the extraordinary. But the story goes deeper, because in 2006, the penny itself was a subject of debate in Congress and in the public eye, as its production cost was beginning to exceed its face value, sparking discussions on whether the United States should even keep minting it. So the 2006 issue already stood at a crossroads of history, embodying both the long tradition of Lincoln cents and the looming uncertainty of their future. And that backdrop of economic debate adds another layer of meaning to why collectors view these era coins as so important. Because they marked the era when the penny itself was questioned as a piece of American money, yet through that questioning came an accidental masterpiece worth millions. And it is also important to note that many of these valuable coins never entered circulation, instead discovered by sharp-eyed workers at the mint or lucky individuals who received strange pennies in their change and decided to look closer. And that's where the magic lies, because anyone could have been the person to find the $17 million penny. It could have been sitting in your pocket, rolling around in your car, or dropped into a jar on your dresser. And stories abound of ordinary people who stumble onto small fortunes because they bothered to examine their coins with patience and curiosity. And the 2006 penny continues to ignite that spark of possibility, fueling the dreams of collectors, inspiring treasure hunts, and reminding us that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in plain sight. And when you look at how auctions transform these coins into legends, it is clear that the collector's market thrives not just on scarcity but also on the narrative that surrounds each coin. Because this 2006 penny became more than metal, it became a story, a symbol, and a relic of American minting history, a reminder that human error can produce wonders that far outweigh perfection. And as word of its value spread across magazines, television, and digital platforms, the fascination only grew, sparking viral trends, countless YouTube videos, and endless discussions in forums where collectors compared notes, shared discoveries, and dreamed of finding the next hidden gem. And what makes this particular coin even more compelling is that unlike ancient gold coins or limited commemorative pieces that were designed to be rare, the 2006 penny was meant to be the most common coin in America, a piece of change everyone touched daily, which makes the discovery of a 1-in-a-billion error specimen so astounding, because it highlights how something ordinary can transcend expectations, becoming a miracle of circumstance, and that miracle fueled the $17 million valuation. But if you dig deeper, the 2006 penny also represents the power of passion, because only through the obsessive dedication of collectors, graders, and historians was this penny elevated to its mythical status, examined under microscopes, graded at the highest possible condition, and documented in a way that confirmed its uniqueness, which is why today when we talk about the most valuable modern pennies, the 2006 issue with its legendary errors stands tall, and it teaches us that history is not just about kings, wars, and monuments, but about the overlooked details, the small pieces of metal that carry within them the fingerprints of human craftsmanship and human imperfection, and in the end, the story of the 2006 penny worth $17 million is more than a tale of money, it is a lesson in awareness, a call to pay attention to the small things, because those small things may hold unimaginable value, and that is why people across the world are still searching through their jars of change, their wallets, and their pockets, hoping lightning will strike again, hoping they too will stumble upon a coin that will change their lives. And now that you know the full story of this incredible penny, the only question left is, could the next fortune be waiting in your pocket right now? So if you enjoyed this fascinating journey into the hidden world of coins and treasures, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more amazing stories of how ordinary objects turn into extraordinary fortunes. Next, today's deep dive where we unravel one of the most fascinating mysteries in the world of rare coins, a story that captures the imagination of collectors and casual observers alike, because when people think of coins they rarely imagine that a simple 1-cent piece could transform into something worth millions. But that is exactly the case with the legendary 1985 1-cent coin that has been valued at a jaw-dropping $6 million due to its unique errors, production mistakes, and the incredible circumstances that make it one of the most valuable pieces of small change in history. And in this journey we are going to explore every detail, every twist, every possibility that makes this coin such an extraordinary marvel. So sit back as we peel back the layers of history, minting errors, collector obsession, and the bizarre world of numismatics where even the smallest flaw can turn copper into pure treasure, because while most pennies jingle around in pockets, lost in couches, or discarded in jars, the 1985 cent with its specific anomalies carved out a path into the halls of fame and rarity, forever remembered not just as money but as an irreplaceable artifact of American history. To understand the true significance of this $6 million wonder, we first need to step back into the 1980s, a decade marked by huge shifts in U.S. currency production, technological experimentation at the mints, and major adjustments in materials used for small coins, as by 1982 the U.S. Mint had transitioned from solid copper cents to copper-plated zinc cents, a change that seemed minor at the time but created massive possibilities for errors and unique mistakes that continue to surface decades later, because when you replace a long-standing metal composition with something cheaper, lighter, and more complex to plate, the door is left wide open for minting mishaps, and this is where the story of the 1985 cent begins to gain its weight, not just physically but financially, as one extraordinary specimen managed to slip past the quality checks and emerge with a combination of mistakes so compelling that collectors would pay fortunes to own it. The types of errors that elevate coins to mythical status are not random scratches or pocket wear, but dramatic, undeniable mistrikes, double dies, off-center strikings, wrong planchet strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, or die breaks that alter the entire look of the coin. And in the case of the 1985 1 cent that has made headlines in collector circles, we find an assortment of mistakes tied to its creation that read almost like a checklist of rarity, a dramatic off-center strike that left a large blank crescent on the coin while still keeping the date visible, a doubling of the lettering on the obverse which made the words Liberty and I and God We Trust look almost like echoes, and a subtle but extremely rare occurrence of being struck on a leftover bronze planchet instead of the intended copper-plated zinc. All three of these anomalies rolled into one physical coin, making it not just an error but a one-of-a-kind piece that defied the odds and has since been crowned as the $6 million cent. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand, a coin that started life as an everyday penny, expected to circulate through gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, and piggy banks, but instead became a centerpiece in numismatic auctions, a showpiece guarded by private collectors and museum vaults, because this coin demonstrates what happens when minting accidents intersect with timing, rarity, and demand, a perfect storm that transforms face value into a figure so large it shocks the imagination. The mystery deepens when we consider how such a coin could even come into existence at a mint designed with countless safeguards to prevent errors, and the answer lies in the realities of high-speed coin production, where dies strike planchets at lightning speeds, machinery runs under massive pressure, and even the tiniest misalignment can create a catastrophic mistake, and while most flawed coins are quickly caught and melted down, occasionally one slips through, riding out of the mint hidden among millions of flawless coins, waiting for the day when some lucky individual notices something strange, pulls it aside, and realizes they have a potential fortune in their hand. For the 1985 cent, the discovery story has been wrapped in lore, with accounts suggesting it was first noticed by a casual collector who picked it up in pocket change and immediately realized something was wrong with the shape and strike, sparking the first wave of interest, and once authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, it skyrocketed in value, eventually being described in numismatic reports as one of the most significant cent errors of the 1980s. What makes this particular coin even more fascinating is the fact that while many error coins exist, very few combine multiple dramatic mistakes on a single planchet, and even fewer are in pristine condition, because condition is everything in the coin world, and the 1985 error cent that reached $6 million is said to be in an almost uncirculated or mint state, meaning its details remain sharp, the luster remains intact, and the errors are crisp and easily visible, a trifecta that makes it a dream for collectors who crave rarity, beauty, and story all in one. But the story of the 1985 cent is not just about one coin, it's about the broader concept of value, the way humans assign meaning and price to objects that by themselves might seem insignificant, because while a penny is technically just a small disc of cheap metal, when you add the layers of history, error, rarity, and collector passion, it becomes a symbol of human fascination with imperfection and uniqueness. And this is why the 1985 cent resonates so strongly. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of history that accidentally deviated from the norm and in doing so became something extraordinary. As we dig deeper, we also have to consider the possibilities of other 1985 cents with errors still out there, hiding in jars or collections, waiting to be discovered, because the US Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins that year, and while only one has emerged as the $6 million gem, the law of probability suggests that others with significant errors could exist, and this has fueled treasure hunts across America, with collectors and hobbyists carefully scanning their 1985 cents under magnifying glasses, searching for doubled dies, off-centers, planchet errors, or die cracks that could hint at another fortune waiting to be uncovered, and this thrill of the hunt is part of what keeps coin collecting alive and thriving. It is worth noting that error coins don't just become valuable overnight, they require authentication, grading, and recognition by the numismatic community, which sets the standard for value, and the 1985 cent went through this process meticulously, being certified and catalogued, with its provenance carefully recorded so that every sale added to its legend, and this is why it commands $6 million today, because value is built on trust, reputation, and proven rarity, not just a claim of error. Another fascinating angle to this story is how such coins shape the cultural imagination, because headlines about pennies worth millions capture public attention and inspire countless people to search their change, sparking moments of hope and curiosity, and this phenomenon has repeated again and again, with coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die cent becoming legendary treasures, but the 1985 $6 million cent stands apart because it belongs to the modern zinc era, often dismissed as cheap and uninteresting, yet it proves that even these newer pennies can yield unimaginable treasures if the conditions align. Imagine being the person who discovered it, holding a coin that everyone else would overlook, realizing its staggering importance, and then watching as it changes hands in private sales and auctions for amounts that most people will never see in their lifetime. And this is why the coin community continues to buzz with excitement, because stories like these prove that treasures can appear in the most ordinary places, waiting for the sharp eye and patient heart of a collector. As we reflect on all this, the 1985 cent is more than just a coin, it's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that mistakes can lead to greatness, and that in a world where perfection is mass-produced, imperfection can hold the greatest value, and perhaps that is why its story resonates so strongly, inspiring people to check their change, to hold onto old pennies, to wonder about the hidden value in the smallest corners of their lives, because if a 1-cent piece can become a $6 million marvel, then who knows what other hidden treasures await discovery. And so the legend of the 1985 1-cent continues to grow, not just as a financial phenomenon but as a story of human curiosity, luck, and the strange beauty of error, a story that teaches us to look closer, to appreciate details, and to remember that sometimes the most ordinary things can turn out to be extraordinary beyond belief. So if you enjoyed this exploration into one of the rarest and most valuable coins in history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more Incredible stories of hidden treasures, and stay tuned because you never know what other secrets we'll uncover next. Last. Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, where history, mistakes, and chance align to create treasures out of the most ordinary objects. And today we are talking about the 1994 1-cent coin that has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike because of its jaw-dropping valuation of over $5.2 million thanks to the unique blend of minting errors, production quirks, and historical significance that transformed an everyday penny into a multimillion-dollar collectible. And in this video we will unfold the tale of how a coin minted in Denver in 1994, initially worth only a cent, became one of the most talked about pieces of numismatic history, a symbol of how imperfection can create incredible worth, and why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for these small copper-plated zinc pieces when they bear certain mistakes that make them truly one of a kind. So let's start by welcoming you into the world of coin hunting, where enthusiasts and experts dedicate their lives to spotting details invisible to most, details that separate an ordinary coin from a piece of living history worth millions. And as we explore the 1994 cent, we need to understand the era in which it was minted, the production techniques, the changes that had taken place in U.S. coinage, and the types of minting errors that make this coin so special. Because it's not just a random penny that happens to be rare, it's a coin that embodies a fascinating combination of flaws, anomalies, and historical context. So to begin, let's consider the United States Mint in 1994, a period when the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 8 decades since its debut in 1909, and during this time the composition of the cent had already shifted from the classic bronze to copper-plated zinc in 1982, a change that brought its own unique challenges and vulnerabilities, and by 1994 the Denver Mint was producing millions of pennies to meet the growing demands of commerce. But even with high-speed production lines and quality checks, mistakes were bound to happen, and in the case of the 1994 cent, some of these mistakes weren't just minor scratches or slight off-center strikes, they were profound enough to turn this small piece of currency into a legendary item. So what kind of errors could elevate a penny to a value of $5.2 million? The first and most prominent one often discussed is the double die error, where during the striking process the coin's die shifts slightly, creating a doubling effect on inscriptions or images, and in the 1994 cent this doubling effect has been noted on critical details such as the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," as well as the word "Liberty," which makes the coin instantly distinguishable to trained eyes. And because not many of these coins survived circulation without being damaged, finding a clear and crisp example makes it exceptionally valuable. Another significant mistake tied to this coin is the off-center strike, where the coin blank isn't properly aligned within the press, resulting in parts of the design being missing or shifted toward the edge. And while off-center strikes are somewhat common in error coins, the combination of an off-center strike along with doubling and other unique anomalies makes the 1994 cent extraordinarily rare. Collectors often dream of coins that combine multiple errors because it drastically reduces the number of surviving examples, creating an extreme level of scarcity. And scarcity drives value, especially when paired with historical intrigue. Furthermore, some 1994 cents exhibit die cracks and cuds, where the minting die itself fractured or wore out, leaving raised lines, blobs, or missing chunks of design on the finished coin. And these errors tell a story of the minting process itself, showing us the strain of mass production and the imperfections hidden in plain sight. But among the most intriguing errors associated with this coin are the planchet errors, such as wrong planchet strikes where a penny design was accidentally stamped onto a metal blank meant for a different denomination. Imagine a 1994 penny struck on a dime planchet, smaller and lighter, yet bearing Lincoln's portrait and the Denver Mint mark, or perhaps struck on a foreign coin blank accidentally mixed into the production line. And these spectacular one-off accidents are the holy grail for error collectors, because they combine rarity, intrigue, and undeniable uniqueness. And it's these layers of possibility that make the 1994 cent so legendary, because any coin that blends multiple errors, be it double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or wrong planchets, becomes essentially one of a kind, and the numismatic market thrives on uniqueness. So when one of these rare specimens appeared in auctions and private sales, the bidding wars pushed values to staggering heights until the coin reached the astronomical figure of $5.2 million, setting it apart from other Lincoln cents in circulation. Now let's pause and consider why collectors are willing to pay so much for a coin that others would overlook in their change jar. The truth is that coins like the 1994 cent represent the perfect storm of collectability, historical context, and rarity. Because the Lincoln cent itself is one of the most beloved and longest-running series in U.S. coinage, meaning that collectors from all over the world want to own a piece of it, and when you add in the element of a minting error, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a piece of the mint's history, an artifact that escaped into the world despite its flaws, a testament to the fallibility of even the most precise machinery. And within the culture of coin collecting, errors are not defects but treasures, symbols of uniqueness and proof that not all coins are created equal, and because human beings are drawn to rarity and imperfection, these coins acquire stories, legends, and values that far exceed their face amount. So with the 1994 cent, its errors combined with its scarcity turned it into a mythic object, a conversation piece, a museum-worthy artifact that collectors vie for. And part of the excitement comes from the thrill of the hunt, because while millions of 1994 pennies were minted, the possibility that one of them could carry the errors that make it worth millions keeps hobbyists searching through rolls, jars, and collections with the hope of striking gold and copper, and that dream fuels the market, making every discovery of an error coin headline-worthy. But beyond the mechanics of minting errors, there's also the psychology of value, where collectors assign worth not just to the metal but to the story, the provenance, and the uniqueness, and the 1994 cent embodies all of this, because when you hold one, you're not holding just a cent, you're holding a piece of history worth millions. Because it defied the odds of mass production and carried anomalies into circulation, and in the grand world of numismatics, few things are more exciting than coins that shouldn't exist in the way they do. And every 1994 error cent tells a unique story of how mistakes at the Denver Mint in 1994 became legends decades later. So as we wrap our journey through this coin story, let's remember that in the world of collectibles, rarity and imperfection are what drive fascination and value, and that's why a penny worth 1 cent to the average person can be worth $5.2 million to a dedicated collector, making it not only one of the most valuable Lincoln cents but also a symbol of how history and mistakes can create treasures. So if you're inspired to start looking more closely at your change, know that the next legendary discovery could be waiting in your pocket, and who knows, you might stumble upon a coin with errors that tell its own rare story. So keep searching, keep learning, and if you enjoyed this exploration of the 1994 1 cent and its incredible $5.2 million value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more fascinating deep dives into the hidden world of coins, and share this with other collectors and enthusiasts so we can continue exploring the treasures that lie within the smallest details of history.